Night Live. I'm your host, Kimber Hill, and tonight I am getting you ready for an incredible QuickBooks Live Bootcamp. I've got some great guests for you this evening. And first, I'm going to do a quick audio check and video check to make sure you can see and hear me. Here on my second screen, I've got VirtForce pulled up on my mobile. And yeah, I can see it there on the Facebook group, which is great. And I can hear it. And let's check the business page as well to make sure you guys have great audio and great video. It looks like we can see it live there too. Perfect. Thank you for being patient with me. Now let's get into our incredible topic for the evening. First, after working with VirtForce for the last 2 years, Intuit has listened to the woes of the military spouse and veteran PCSing constantly lifestyle that we're all going through, right? And they learned from that and they took action. So they've created a complete 80-hour course just to hear the call of those of us who are unexperienced and are not able to gather that bookkeeping experience at different duty stations. And they've made it totally free for military spouses so that you can erase the work experience requirements to work for an amazing organization like Intuit. But that's not all. They released this months ago, and this is a really serendipitous moment for us tonight because we're going to be talking to 2 VirtForce members who have been #hired at Intuit and who have been #hired after taking this course. One in particular tonight is Nicole and the other is Melanie. I'm going to introduce them and tell their story in more detail a little bit later. And the last thing that you're going to get out of this live stream tonight is it is perfect timing. Intuit is launching a free QuickBooks QBO Pro Advisor Certification Bootcamp that kicks off tomorrow morning. So if you listen to all of this tonight and you decide Intuit is definitely where I want to be working, I want to be the next Melanie, I want to be the next Nicole, then you can hop into that boot camp tomorrow absolutely free. So before we roll into tonight's show, let me give you a brief overview. We're going to do an icebreaker, then we're going to meet our guests, and then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this conversation. So first, our icebreaker for tonight is please use the comments section to tell us, number 1, where you are watching or listening from, and drop a heart emoji if you are here because you want to learn about this free boot camp. I'm going to bring everybody on screen briefly so you can see all their beautiful faces. Wow, we have over 145 viewers right now. That's so positive, so great to hear and see you all. I'm going to bring everybody on screen and have everyone say hello just briefly. All right. And it looks like I might be frozen. Am I frozen for you guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What an awful face I'm making too. My gosh, could you get frozen at a worse time? I don't think so. That's okay. I think if everyone can still hear me, I'm going to lean on my team right now for just a moment. Everyone says I'm frozen and everybody else looks great. So we'll keep going. I don't want to lose our momentum. I'll take myself off screen in a moment. But first, I want to say, hey, Nicole, who's our QuickBooks Live Associate Bookkeeper.
Hi.
Give us a wave. Melanie, who is Nicole's manager at QuickBooks Live. Hey, Melanie. And then we've got Blair, who's going to be talking to us about the QuickBooks Live opportunities tonight. And we've got Karina. Hey, Karina, who's going to chat with us about TurboTax. Awesome. So give me a moment. I'm going to reset here and we're going to take it to me and Blair for just a moment. We're going to get a little bit of information from Blair about the opportunities. All right. So Blair, can you tell us what's driving this QuickBooks hiring push?
Yeah, absolutely. Then, Kimber, thanks for having me back. Great to be here again this evening, and hello to everybody who's joined. So yeah, as we head into the new calendar year and tax season, we support a lot of our customers who are QuickBooks Online users, self-employed individuals, small business owners, and they need to get their books cleaned up and in order to do their taxes for the year. So although our roles are year-round and not traditionally seasonal like the TurboTax Live roles, we do have some seasonality aspects to our hiring tied to tax season, as I just mentioned. So that's kind of what's driving the push right now. And the offering continues to grow as well. So we're just organically growing at the same time too. So a lot of focus on cleanup and then monthly maintenance of our customers' books, being able to deliver for them.
That's awesome to hear, Blair. Thank you for sharing that with me. Apologize for those of you who are watching and we're getting some technical issues. I think my camera has decided altogether that she's not gonna play with us this evening. So sorry about that, but as long as you've still got audio, this conversation is still happening.
Yep, Lima Charlie, loud and clear.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Blair. So it makes sense that business owners are ready to do their taxes, but clearly they can't do that without cleaning up their books.
That's right. Yeah, a lot of times small business owners have this, dream and kind of vision to open their small business doing something that they love, they're passionate about, and then what they, tend to not focus on is initially is, oh shoot, I got to manage this from a financial and bookkeeping perspective as well. And that's where these roles can really help these individuals become successful and take a lot of legwork and stress off their plate from that regard. So these positions here directly support the needs of our self-employed and small business customers through QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Live.
Mhm.
And so it's just exciting to be able to provide that support to them, allow them to focus on their work as opposed to focusing all their time and energy on their books.
Yeah, I know certainly as a small business owner myself, it's just incredibly important for me to have that bookkeeping support. And I think it's a great match for the military spouse community to be able to provide that service.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'd like to take a moment here and bring on Melanie and Nicole. And Blair, we'll bring you back in just a little bit. Is that okay?
That sounds great. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to bring on Nicole and Melanie. And while I do this, ladies, I'm going to try to refresh my screen. And I'm going to see, I'm going to see if that will bring my camera back. So everybody, fingers crossed. Here we go.
Nope, still black.
I joined 30 minutes early for technical purposes.
And your thing worked then.
And it worked fine. We're sitting there for 30 minutes with the A-OK camera. That's all right. What we'll go ahead and do is move into what I want to talk to you two about. We had such a lovely, synergetic period of events where we held a live stream back in August. And Nicole, it was about the 80-hour course. Nicole watched the live stream, and then she took the 80-hour course and was one of the first people to complete it and finish the certification. So right after that, she was almost immediately hired at Intuit to work for you, Melanie. And you also had heard about these opportunities through VirtForce. And I think, Melanie, you have 2 other VirtForce team members on your team. Yeah,
I do.
Absolutely. So this is just a really beautiful series of events that are happening. So let's dive into this a little bit deeper. Nicole, tell us how you heard about this opportunity specifically. How did it come up for you?
Originally, you guys had sent out an email saying that the opportunity, the courses through Act Now were going to be put up. So I signed up for that mailing list, and when they became available, I started the courses and finished them as quickly as I could. And then the August VirtForce presentation was actually right after I had finished the class. So it was before I took the test, but after I finished the class. And I just went from there. And Blair was actually my recruiter.
That's amazing, Blair. And Blair's one of our favorites. We are always working with Blair. We're always working with Karina. We love seeing their faces every time. So how did you find the Act Now course to be? Was it very challenging for you?
Not for me. I actually found it really self-explanatory and pretty easy.
That's awesome. That's really great and encouraging to hear because it is 80 hours.
You can actually do it faster than that if things are clicking. If something's not, you need to step back and take a little bit more time on a section. But if it's clicking, it did not take me 80 hours.
Really? That's
I don't
awesome.
have an estimate on how long it took, though. I didn't keep track.
Not 80. 80 is kind of the pessimistic look, right?
Yeah, that's if you need more time. There are case studies in the course that you have to answer the questions for, and if it clicks, then it's really fast. But obviously, if you have to take more time to think about the answers, it's going to give you more time.
Okay, I gotcha. So did you have any prior bookkeeping experience?
None whatsoever.
None at all. How did you find the adjustment from coming from a different career field out of the course into Intuit? Was it bumpy or pretty smooth for you?
I was pretty nervous. When you go through the training, there's a lot. They give you a ton of information, and I was a little bit overwhelmed. But then I got put on Melanie's team, and she has answered all of my questions, constantly questions.
Wow, that's awesome. So, Melanie, are you enjoying having Nicole on your team?
I am, yeah. Nicole and the other members who went through the same process of our team, they all came in a batch. So it was my last group of new hires. And I think I got pretty lucky on that one. I think 50% was through this program of that group of new hires. And I would have to be very honest and say that 50% is probably further along in understanding our service delivery and the scope of the work than the rest of the class that they came with.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. So you've been at Intuit for 2 years now. What kind of growth potential have you experienced?
Well, I joined when we were very, very young, so I think I've had a little bit of an accelerated experience. But overall, there's a lot of growth potential here at a very rapid pace for being a big corporation. So I've been here 2 years. I've been promoted twice. I would say right now that you definitely could still stay on that career path if you're really driven and really take the time to understand our service delivery. That's a big part of success here, is understanding what we provide the customers and how we provide it.
So you've made 2 promotions here. Oh, hey, I've got a backup camera. My backup camera is on, so let me turn on the backup camera. Hey, there's side view Kimber. So you've had 2 promotions though with Intuit over 2
Correct.
years.
Yes.
So that means kind of on average, you're getting promoted once a year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
All right,
and that's still very obtainable if you get in there and really are driven to understand our service.
Okay. Which of what have been the positions that you've worked at Intuit?
So I was a QBK for a hot moment, and then a lead, and now I am an M1, so a manager.
Okay, that's great. So describe to me the journey of what someone like Nicole could experience if she's following in your footsteps.
So you're going to join at the QBK. That could be a front office or back office position. Everything has the chance to be customer facing, so you should certainly be prepared to interact with the customer and be on camera. And then once you solidify that role, really understand our service delivery, then you can get promoted to lead. That is a different client base. So you're still on camera quite a bit, but you're on camera with the QBKs, helping through pain points, SMB problems. So a little bit of a different customer that you're serving. And usually we like a lead to be in that position for about a year before they're eligible to be promoted to the M1 role. And then that is more about, again, servicing a different customer, which at that point is kind of balancing the QBK and the SMB. So
Okay.
it's really important that you learn Intuit's perspective on customers, because that really will drive your success here.
Right, exactly. But what I'm hearing here that I think is important for all of the military spouses and vets watching is career progression and career continuity, because what we see in our demographic of 25% unemployment, and I think it's more like 32% underemployed, is a company that's offering you an opportunity to work fully remote, train you, prepare you for leadership, and then guide you into leadership opportunities.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. And you can, you know, if your spouse gets new orders, you can travel with this job. It will go with you, because we are a remote position. So we're nationwide. I have on my team, I have employees in Maine and I have employees in California. So we have all walks of life, all locations within the United States. I've had an employee in Alaska. So I know sometimes people are concerned that being in Alaska or Hawaii might make them ineligible, and that isn't the case. So it's really a position that tries to work with you in the lifestyle that you're supporting your loved one in living.
I love that. So let's take a couple of minutes here. I'm going to skim our comments. We've got people watching from Japan, New York, Florida, Monterey, Wilmington, North Carolina, Virginia, listening from Tahoma, Washington, Utah. Hey, from a small town in Illinois. So happy to see all of you guys. We've got over 180 people tuning in right now. I'm checking to see if we have any pertinent comments or questions that are kicking us off tonight. We have one user who's saying that they love that outlook. We've got another user who's saying, can you start off in a management role if you have management experience? Let's hold that question and talk to Blair, our recruiter, about that in a bit. And Katie, I see your question from YouTube, and I'll get to your question when we bring Blair back on. Again, apologies, guys, that we've lost my camera, but we're going to keep trucking along here. All right, so I love seeing you get #hired and #promoted. Melanie, I think you've got a big advantage there. I want to know really quick, though, what is the difference between being in a front office role like Nicole's and one that's more back office? And we had spoken about this a couple of days ago when we were preparing for this. Why don't you tell me that story about Nicole starting in the front office? I think that could really help our candidates.
Okay. So I actually had 2 QBKs that came through this program that were both deemed front office. I think that it's reasonable to expect that when you're a little less experienced in accounting, you're going to be put in a front office role. Front office is going to have the daily appointment schedule, which allows their customers to interact with them, ask questions, go through books, give training. So the less experienced tend to be put in that role first so that they can really learn how to service the client. The back office tends to do the book work. They're more responsible for actually making sure that we're meeting our service delivery guidelines and cadence and things like that. So when Nicole came, because she was newer and so eager, she was put in a front office position. And so she's been a really fun QBK to watch blossom. She has found her footing within that front office role. She was very intimidated by it. And I think quietly kept to herself unhappy by the role, but she's really thrived in it. And even though she thought she would be uncomfortable in it and she doubted herself because of her lack of experience, she's a great front office. Her SMBs really trust her. She has really built a rapport with them, and on top of that, she is really enhancing her accounting knowledge on a daily basis. Our conversations from 6 weeks ago compared to what they were this morning are very different, and I can just see how much that she's learned.
Oh man, kudos for you, Nicole, for overcoming that front office fear and really owning it. So explain to me why you think that this is important for a candidate who's considering applying to Intuit. Why they need to consider that most of the roles are going to be front office.
You have to be comfortable engaging over camera with the client. You are going to be on camera, whether that's meeting with me, whether that's meeting with the SMB, whether that's meeting with the lead. Every position is going to have some sort of interface with another individual. And so it's really important in accepting this role that you understand that you don't get to pick the position that you're put into. You are trained. There's an evaluation process that those training managers go through. And at the end of it, I say, I need an FOE, and they determine that's the role that you fit, and they assign that role to you within my team. So being open to what the training manager is going to decide, because that's truly in their hands, and being honest with them as you progress through this process to let them know what maybe your struggles or your fears or insecurities might be, so we can try to work with you. But it is important that you do have the expectation that you will be on camera and you will be engaging with clients.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like a tiny camera, right? Like maybe the size of a thumbnail.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't have to look at them.
Nope. And we zoom your background, and you don't see them, they just see you. And there's a lot of great things. Nicole, you could probably speak. It's not as daunting as it seems, is it?
It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I get really nervous talking to people I don't know, so I was really worried about it, but it's really not that bad. The calls can last up to 45 minutes. Most of my calls are done in about 15 max, and half of that is getting the person to connect their camera to the SmartLook service. The SmartLook service lets us see their QuickBooks screen, and they see us, but we don't see them. So I'm explaining that since not many people know what that is, but half of my call is getting that connected.
I don't mean to interrupt, but we've got some comments asking a lot about the company jargon that you're using. So maybe try to explain what those are. First of all, Letitia wants to know what is an SNP?
An SMB, sorry. It's a small or medium business. So we service small or medium business owners. And so when we refer to a client, we don't refer to them as a customer or a client. We refer to them as an SMB.
Gotcha. But all in all, this whole camera situation set up being front end with the company, it's not intimidating. Even Nicole, who was like, I hate this, I don't want to do this, has mastered it, right?
Yeah,
it's not that bad.
It's really not that bad. And if you really can't stand it, you talk to your manager, and eventually they can move you back to the back office. But you do have to pick up the skills first.
Okay, gotcha. So I'm going to take a moment and catch up with our comments here. I'm not going to read all of them, but I'm going to pull this one on screen. It sounds like there is some direct mentorship coming on with your manager for newcomers. What an awesome perk. If you want to, you can elaborate more on that. Caitlin, I see your question. I'm going to star it and come back to it when we have our recruiter on. And Letitia, I hear you, girl. Let's see here. Can Nicole talk a little bit more about what the training process was like for her coming from zero experience to a front office role?
Okay, I can. So Intuit sends you the equipment that you need to start your job, and that comes in on a Friday. So you'll go in and you'll meet with your training managers, and then they have big presentations, and you watch the presentations, and then there's little courses that you have to take to just get up to speed with all of the process and procedures that we're going to be using when you're employed here. And it's just a lot of information. So you get a little bit of an information overload, but then you get sent to your actual manager. So I went from my training manager to Melanie. And in our case, I don't know if this is the same for every single team, but in ours, she gave me a little while to get adjusted, figure out where I was going before she opened up client calls. So I had time to get settled and figure out what I was doing. And during that time, I job shadowed with other people that were in front office positions so that I could get a feel for what they do. And each one of them does it a little bit differently. So I was still a little overwhelmed. But through the whole process, I figured it out, and it hasn't been bad. And then anytime I have a question, I just go over on Slack. That's the messenger service that we use to communicate with each other. And I'll be like, hey, Melanie, can I steal you for a minute? I got a question. And if she's available, she'll answer it. If not, she'll like, hey, give me like 5 minutes. And then she'll answer it.
You've got your collaboration. And then on that note, Emily Kendall wants to know, what kind of equipment do you use?
So they sent me a laptop. They sent the headset. They sent the camera, and then there was a little form I filled out, and they sent me a second monitor, and that's about it.
Awesome. All right, let's see here. I'm seeing the comments and we're going to move right along. I see you're asking about how do you get recruited. We're about to talk to the Intuit recruiter live, Andrew. So if you'll hang tight there, and I'll just go ahead and preface this. All of Intuit's positions, due to the financial industry being highly regulated and the way that taxes and financials are regulated in the US, these are CONUS only, but that does include Alaska and Hawaii. So I'm sorry for those of you who are OCONUS. When you get back to the States, you got to apply. We're about to get to the 80-hour course, so I see all of these questions coming in, and at the very end, I'm going to give you links to everything, and we'll send out an email with the links, so make sure you are on our email list.
And then for the questions that I see real quick, yes, you do need to be hardwired. Yes,
you do need to be hardwired to work here. Let's see here. Let's chat about the flexibility of the position when it comes to accommodating the challenges of the military lifestyle. For example, looks like I've got a PCS coming up. What happens?
Well, that's simple. I think Nicole's about to go through it, and I have another QBK, so bookkeeper, who is going through it right now. All she had to do was let me know that this is when her orders take effect and where she's going to be stationed. And as long as it was in CONUS, we just go ahead and make the move.
Thank you so much, Melanie. So have you had to do a PCS while working at Intuit yet?
I have not, but I have had a prior employee do it, and it was very simplistic. I think at first she thought this would be the most daunting part because military's got it dialed in. And I think this was actually the simplest part for her because it was a simple change of address.
Yeah.
And then she moved her family. So
I gotcha.
It's easy.
Thank you. All right. Could one of my team members please hit the chat? We've got a lot of people here asking how to get on the email list. So if I could get one of the VirtForce team members to support that request, that would be awesome. And yes, we are going to talk about the 80-hour course. We're going to talk about the free boot camp, and we're going to bring Blair, the Quickbooks Live recruiter, on so you can ask him a million questions. Right before we do that, I want to give you an opportunity to meet the TurboTax Live recruiter, Karina, just in case bookkeeping and accounting isn't your thing. So briefly, let's say farewell to Nicole and Melanie. And Melanie, congratulations on your 2 promotions. We cannot wait to see where you go with Intuit, and we hope to have you both back for another live stream sometime soon.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. All right, we're going to switch over and bring on Miss Karina from TurboTax Live. Hey, Karina.
Hello.
Hey, so if bookkeeping is not in the listeners' wheelhouse, there's a completely other side to remote career opportunities at Intuit that revolve around tax. Can you talk to us a little bit about those opportunities?
Absolutely. So with TurboTax Live, we do recruit for seasonal roles. We do have a tax associate, which is a non-credentialed position. And then we have the tax expert, which is a credentialed role. I'll tell you both roles, and I'll explain to you, but both roles in essence are going to be providing tax advice, doing tax reviews, and or preparing the tax returns, depending on the customer's situation at hand. Now, the difference is the tax associate does not require any credentials. It does require having a PTIN, so personal tax identification number, and the tax associate role does require having 3 years of paid tax preparation experience. We will take voluntary experience from our military folks, and or you don't have to have prior knowledge of TurboTax Live, but I would say make sure that your resume includes any information on whatever taxes you've done, whether it's for family and friends, and or what softwares you have utilized. The tax expert role, the requirements are still the same, where it's 3 years of paid tax preparation experience. However, the tax expert role does require having an active and valid credential license, whether it's the CPA license, EA or enrolled agent license, or a practicing attorney, along with the PTIN. For both roles, we do provide competitive pay rates, and that's based on the state that you reside in. We also offer an end of season performance bonus, but the bonus amount is different but for both roles, and we would discuss that during the time of a phone screen. And we do provide training. Training is done remotely, and it's paid training as well. And we also provide similar equipment that QuickBooks provides, whether it's the computer, external camera, and a headset.
That's wonderful. So paid training, all of the equipment is provided, everything you need. You step right into this remote ecosystem of a tax network. So a couple of things I want to point out, and I'm going to call on one of my team members, either Jess or Michelle. We have done an incredible live stream with Karina before where we have highlighted EAs, enrolled agents who work for TurboTax. And we discussed the enrolled agent program. So basically, Karina, correct me if I'm wrong, you've got 3 tax positions. You've got the tax associate, you've got the non-credentialed tax. There's 3. So there's one that's sort of
the tax associate and the tax expert.
Okay, the tax associate, which is non-credentialed, and the tax expert, which is credentialed. But if you come in at that tax associate level, they will provide you training, which is worth about $1,600 to help you acquire your enrolled agent certification so that you can promote. So this goes back to the problem of career continuity that we see in our demographic, and Intuit is here to solve that problem. An incredible company to work for. So thank you so much, Karina, for taking the time to chat with us. I know that tax season, your tax hiring season has started to slow down, but you're always looking for tax experts. So we are going to be including the link to apply to the tax expert community. But I do want to call on my team to link in now the previous live streams that we've done with the tax expert community. So if that is the path that you're interested in, you can split off and go learn more. Karina, do you have anything else to add about TurboTax before we shift over to Blair and finish up QuickBooks Live?
I'm good right now. Thank you.
All right. So good to see you again. Blair, I'd love to bring you on. It looks like you've got 101 questions to answer for all of our candidates who are interested in working at QuickBooks Live.
Cool. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So why don't we start with the hiring process?
Sure. Yeah. So first step would be, applying. You can do that through the links that are being shared out here. You can find it on the Intuit career site as well. There's some questions on the application process that will help, kind of route you through the process. For anybody who's attending the call today, you've applied, you haven't heard anything back yet, and you have some of the experience that you're looking for, you've already completed the Intuit professional bookkeeping certificate, and you're working on your QBO cert, just shoot me a note on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to help out in that regard. But once you apply, then essentially you would have a 20 to 30 minute phone screen with a recruiter that will dig in a little bit deeper to your QBO and bookkeeping experience, talk to you about the role, location, hours, benefits, pay, everything, right? And then share info with you regarding next steps, which would be a 45-minute HireVue interview. That interview is an online platform via HireVue. It's a one-way interview, so it's a little unique, but there are a number of questions that you'll respond to via video response. There'll be some that you respond to via a written response, and then the rest of them are multiple choice and true or false. And again, they are all related to QuickBooks Online and bookkeeping. It usually takes about 2 weeks to get those interviews evaluated by a hiring manager. And then the next step from there will be recruiter following back up with you to say, hey, you did great. We'd like to extend you an offer for our upcoming hire dates, or let you know that we're going to be focusing our attention on some other candidates. And then from there, if you got an offer, onboarding and all that stuff would happen. And then you'd be ready for your start date, which is always on a Friday.
Absolutely. And right now on screen, I've got the QuickBooks Live application link. Oh, I see a typo. That's on me. Sorry, team. But right there below the QuickBooks Live application link headline is a web URL, and it has VF-bookx. That is where you're going to go to apply. But before you do that, you need to have your QBO Pro Advisor Certification. And that is the boot camp that's kicking off tomorrow. So before, well, you know what? I'll go ahead and pull it up on screen. Blair, why don't you explain to us why the Pro Advisor Certification is important before you apply for the role?
Sure. Yeah. One, it's required, right? So we really can't move you through to the final stages if you don't have it. So if you have it before even connecting with a recruiter, you're already a step ahead in the process, which is nice. The second part is it's a way we honor our promise to our customers that they're going to be connecting with a real live expert. And by having you successfully complete the QBO Pro Advisor certificate, we're essentially deeming you as an expert with that software product, right? And we'll continue to provide you with training, and you'll learn more from your team members as you get on board in the role. But you are specifically only supporting QuickBooks Online customers. These roles do not support QuickBooks Desktop. So having that certification is highly important to your ability to offer great service and experience to our customers.
Yes. All right, so I've got a couple of questions here, and now good timing for this question. Would it be beneficial to apply if you have zero goose egg experience?
Yeah, so you heard Nicole talking about this a little bit earlier, heard Melanie. My recommendation is, one, get the QBO Pro Advisor certificate done and completed, and two, complete the Intuit bookkeeping professional certificate, the one that's via Coursera, and the final exam is proctored through Pearson VUE. Kimber mentioned some info tied to that earlier. I think if you check off both of those boxes, then it makes more sense for a recruiter to chat with you and try and help guide you through the process from there. If you're saying, hey, I have zero experience, I don't have a QBO cert, and I haven't done anything with the Intuit certificate, then probably not a good use of your time.
So one of our team members, Jess, our recruiter, she built this really great PDF that's in the files of our Facebook channel. But basically the PDF says there are two ways, there are two paths, two roads. I mean, look at the camera that you can actually see, two roads to getting in and hired with Intuit. So the first is that you have 1 year of work experience. And then you take that 1 year of accounting experience and you go grab the 12-hour QBO Pro Advisor certification. So you've got 1 year of work experience, and now you took 12 hours out of your weekend or your week to take a free certification. And then you go apply to be a bookkeeper with Intuit. Now, the other path is you have zero work experience. So instead of work experience, what Intuit is offering you is their free 80-hour course series, which earlier we talked to Nicole. That's what she took. She said it didn't take her 80 hours, that she worked through it pretty quickly. And once she completed that 80-hour course, then she went and grabbed her 12-hour Pro Advisor certification, and then she applied to Intuit. And Intuit hired her with no work experience, but instead experience from the certifications that she took. So Jess has just linked that PDF in the chat, probably on Facebook. It looks like Jess is on Facebook doing that. We will be sure to email it out to everyone on the email list tonight so that you can follow that. But that's what Blair is talking about. Either way, whatever path you're going down, you've got to have that QuickBooks, that QBO Pro Advisor cert. So I'm going to bring the link to that back on screen because there is a boot camp kicking off tomorrow night for the certification. So we've got not tomorrow night, just tomorrow for the certification. So Blair, what do you know about this boot camp? I don't think you're personally in it or running it, but you're the one who told us about it.
Yeah, look, I think it's a great way to help you get a better understanding of the QBO software, and also help to set you up for success for passing the final exam for the QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor certificate. There's just info in there. There's sessions in there. There's other individuals in there that you can network and chat with. You're also going to learn a lot more about the software, and so it's all this extra color and context you can add to your understanding of the product and its use, instead of just going right in and trying to take the QBO Pro Advisor cert. So I recommend it if you have time. I know it's short notice given that we're chatting with you folks today, but I think there's a big value add there. So I would recommend it.
I think it's a huge value add. You said it earlier. It's if you're not into self-study and you like a motivated curriculum to push you along, the boot camp will be great for you. Alternatively, you don't have to do the boot camp. You can
Right.
do it on your own time. I'm a boot camp person. I want to be around people. I want to be in a group. I want to go with the momentum of a class, right? That's me, but that may not be you. We have a question here. And someone's already answered in the chat, but I think that this one is pertinent to our conversation. If you're applying, which certification should you do first? The 80-hour course series for the accounting skill set, or the Pro Advisor certification for the software skill set? I'm
sorry, would you repeat that? There's a guy trimming my neighbor's tree, and I lost you a little bit there on that one. So
how dare he? Tell him to put it down.
I know, and he just took my flag off my house to cut the tree. So I was looking at what's going on out there right now. So
he's got some nerve.
Mm-hmm.
If you were going to tell a candidate which course they should do first, so should they go get the Pro Advisor and work on software skills first, or should they go do the 80-hour accounting skill set first? Which one would you recommend?
Yeah, great question. If you have zero bookkeeping experience and zero QuickBooks Online experience, I would do the Coursera course first to get some foundational bookkeeping understanding, and then it will make more sense when you do the QBO Pro Advisor certification as well, because there's obviously bookkeeping aspects tied to that certification.
Absolutely. So when he says the Coursera course, he is referencing the accounting skills. That's the 80-hour course series. It's going to take you 3-4 times as long as the Pro Advisor, but it will give you insight into whether or not you want to work in this industry. Would you agree?
I would completely agree.
Yeah. All right. So let me hop back over here to my list of questions for you. I've asked you everything that I need to ask you. What I would like to do now is let the candidates fill in the blanks here of what they need to know. So right now, guys, we're bringing our live stream to a close. I'm going to call on one of my team members to just collectively put every link we've discussed in the chat right now for me, please. So that's going to include the bootcamp, the bootcamp, the 80-hour course, how to apply to QuickBooks, and how to apply to TurboTax. So that should be about 4 links that go in the chat now. Since we're bringing this conversation to a close, all of the viewers and listeners, any questions that you have that absolutely need to be answered and have not been answered yet, go ahead and bring them to me in the chat. I'm going to start with Caitlin. Caitlin, let's see here, asks, 1 second.
I think I see it at the bottom here.
Yeah. Caitlin wants to know, I'm getting audio from this other camera here. She wants to know, if you come on as a bookkeeper and later get your bachelor's for accounting, would you be able to be promoted?
Yeah, good question. So there's no guarantee, right? It depends on what opportunities are available. I will say, for specifically speaking to QuickBooks Live and not going into like corporate accounting roles that would be open at Intuit, if you start out in QuickBooks Live, you do well, there's opportunity to move up within QuickBooks Live. We promote from within 99.99% of the time for these roles. So if you start out as a bookkeeper, you could then move to a lead bookkeeper, and then from a lead bookkeeper, you could move into a manager 1 level position, and then so on from there. I think there was a question earlier tied to what is career opportunities look like within QBL, and they're definitely very the chances of you getting promoted, if you're doing well and you're interested and you're performing at a high level, are very strong, because like I said, we primarily promote from within. And the reason we do that is because you have a strong understanding of the work in the weeds with the customers. You'll have buy-in from your team because you understand the pain points. You have empathy with them as well. You'll understand the work really well, so you can guide future team members in a way that shows that you've done the work yourself. And also, it just instills confidence in our team, helps retain top talent by promoting from within as well. So it's rare to hire outside folks for lead and manager positions within QuickBooks Live.
Thank you for answering that question. All right, let's jump down to an anonymous Facebook user who wants to know, for the initial front office, for those with no experience, are those hours flexible or are there set hours?
So we have set schedules that you get to pick from so there's multiple options. So it's flexible in terms of you can choose what schedule you want, but once you choose a schedule, it is a set schedule. And there's no difference in schedules between front office or back office. It really depends on how many hours per week you choose to work. And we have a minimum of 20 hours required. We have a 25-hour work week option, a 29-hour work week option, and lastly, up to 40 hours a week as well. And all those hours are always worked between our QuickBooks Online regular business hours, which are Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Now, is there a minimum to the shift? So can I come in and work
Yes.
2 hours at a time?
It would be a minimum of a 4-hour shift, and those hours would be consecutive.
Gotcha. Perfect. Thank you for clearing that up. And
Sure.
let me head back to our recent messages here. All right, this is a good question. I don't know the answer to this. So we know that this is not OCONUS friendly, but we're wondering about U.S. territories and not international countries. Could that apply? And maybe if we knew specifically which U.S. territory, that might be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about it as like Puerto Rico maybe, or Guam or something like that, unfortunately, you have to be within the 50 United States.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up for us, Blair.
Sure.
Next question is the QuickBooks certification always done as a boot camp, or is there a self-paced option?
The QBO virtual boot camps are always a boot camp. I don't know if they send out recorded sessions afterwards or not. Maybe that's one we could follow up on, but to my knowledge, they are always boot camp.
All right. Thank you, Blair. And I'm getting a lot of questions about working with kids at home. I know with the pandemic, a lot of families have been forced to homeschool. What is the office setting like? Do we have to have a quiet office requirement? Do you know of anyone or your colleagues who are managing it with children in the home?
Yeah, I think a lot of folks are. And, if you can have a space in your house where you can work uninterrupted on video and get your work done, that's ideal. But, we obviously realize we're in a changed work environment, work from home environment. So as long as you're not all working in one room and your kids are bouncing off the walls in the background and distracting you, I think you'll be in good shape. So having that, space where you can work uninterrupted, especially while you're on video with a customer or your team members, that would be ideal.
Ideal. I'd like to bring Karina on as well because we're getting some general questions and not just QuickBooks related questions. So I'd love for her to be able to chime in too. Hey, Karina, thanks for hanging tight with us. Letitia asks, did you say 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. PST for the hours, or could you clarify?
6 a.m. to 6 p.m. for QuickBooks.
Okay, so Letitia, it's 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. PST for QuickBooks. Karina, is TurboTax different?
Yes. TurboTax is 7 days a week between 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. Pacific.
So extended hours for sure. All right. Oh, we have someone who wants to know if the QuickBooks Office certification can be self-paced. And I believe the answer is yes, but Blair, I'll let you speak to that.
Yeah, for the QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor cert, yes, you don't have to do that in one sitting. I think you could probably complete it in as little as 8 hours, more like 12, but like Kimber had mentioned earlier, but you can spread that out over a few days. Yeah. And same thing with the Coursera one. You don't have to do it all in 2 weeks, right? You can spread it out. So.
No, and I don't know about you, but once I get to work on something, I get hyper focused and I want to finish it as quickly as I can. However, I know that a lot of my peers and colleagues are different, and my husband is 100% different. He will schedule his day out and give something, 30 minutes a day until he gets finished. So I like that you can take it either direction. All right. Let's see here. CL Cope, I think that your question is one that you may want to speak with a recruiter directly about. And Nadine, we have already answered that question, but Blair recommended that you do the Coursera class first if you have to do both the Coursera course and the Pro Advisor certification. How do we get into the Coursera course? Could one of my team members please drop the link for this Facebook user right now for how to sign up for the Coursera course? And that brings us to the end of our questions. Blair and Karina, is there anything that you guys would like to share with us tonight?
No, just thank you so much again for bringing this community together. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to connecting with some of you folks and hopefully helping guide you through the process and get you on board as QB Live bookkeepers.
Yeah, thank you all for hanging in there with me with no camera. I really appreciate it. We had an incredible amount of attendees and interested candidates tonight. I loved seeing all 180 of you, and I know I've got hundreds of comments and chats. What we are going to do is compile an email. That email is going to contain every link that we've talked about tonight and a little bit of a summary of what we discussed. So if you want to make sure you are on the receiving end of that email, please make sure that you are signed up for VirtForce alerts. So Michelle or Jess, whichever one of you had posted that earlier, for you're anonymous on my end, if you could please drop that link. Karina, Blair, I love working with you too. It's so fun to see you every time we do this. Thank you for coming. A really special thank you to Nicole and Melanie and to Rosa for organizing this, and to the VirtForce team for helping us make this live stream happen. You can't see me, but my hands are in the air and I'm waving them like I just don't care because this was so fun.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right, we're going to end the stream now. Happy Tuesday night. This has been a session of Tuesday Night Live. We'll see you next time.